Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about the stupid how many seconds it takes until they throw the football?
And Brandon Schultz.
Look at the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff. Almost every one of those guys wears a visor.
Go Hawks!
This is episode 220 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy, Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
This is a good day to get on the podcast, Brandon. It's fall, it's beautiful outside, and the Seahawks just won and beat the stupid Cowboys. That's fantastic, and we get to take on those ugly Redbirds down in Arizona next week and get our first win down on the road. I'm excited about today. This is going to be fun.
It feels like a good time to be a Seahawks fan. After the first couple weeks, starting off on the road is just not where I want to be. In the future, right. Let's fix that and start off at home, because I like starting with a win, and especially when it's over the Cowboys. As much as we had to hear from them and their fans and their media, it couldn't have gone much better with Earl Thomas being kind of the player of the game.
Absolutely. And yeah, finishing with him taking a bow towards the Cowboys sideline. That was fantastic. Oh, wait. Here's some dude. Here's some news. Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Like, this is killing my whole buzz and good vibes for the morning. Looks like the Seahawks are trading Russell Wilson for a 7th round draft pick, according to Chris Mortenstein on Twitter. I'm devastated.
Oh my gosh. Chris Mortenstein, one of the most trusted sources in Twitter news.
Oh my God. That was the one thing waking up today that did make things hard, is all the Earl Thomas crap that was tweeted out by fake freaking Twitter accounts. Oh my God. Just screw you, people who put out fake news. Seriously. It's not funny. It's not April's Fools. You stop it.
I'm tired of fake tweets, and I'm tired of spam phone calls telling me that my extended warranty for my car is expired, that's a limited enrollment for health insurance period. I've had enough of all of it.
Yeah, my favorite is the warranty one, because my 1997 Jeep Cherokee is out of warranty. It is.
Yeah.
I'm not stunned. Yeah, it doesn't have the warranty's called go out there and fix it yourself. That's the kind of warranty I have on it right now, and I'm fine with that. It's really good for my deal.
Well, the Seahawks got some things fixed in this last game. They got the offensive line working with Jermaine Ifedi. Some credit going to him. DJ Fluker showed up in this game, and it was noted by our good buddy John Davison. Says, "Hi, fellas. Well, this time I have got something to say, so I'm doing it. I felt relief, and that our season has finally started. It wasn't the be-all, end-all of a game, but it went a long way to silencing the doubters. Didn't think any area of the team did badly, and to see DJ Fluker just push someone out of the way for a rushing touchdown was great. But hats off to the whole O-line, and a special nod to Ifedi, because he's had enough catfish, including stuff from me. This is a great result for the team, coached, staff, and fans. We can all move on from here. Don't forget, we still have people to come back, so let's go on a big run. Counting down the days now for Wembley, and getting excited about that. Loving San Fran, going TU as they were going to finish up in front of us, allegedly. Although, sorry for Jimmy G. Go Hawks, from John.
Go Hawks. Looking forward to seeing you, John. And we were just talking about the London trip a little bit this morning. But, I think the part of the game that felt the best was just the idea that the offensive line was able to get a push all game long. And they really did a bang-up job. And yes, give a lot of credit to DJ Fluker. Not only was he mashing people in the run game, but he was actually pretty dang good in pass protection too. And I think that helped out Ifedi a ton, to be honest. I think that made a big difference for him. And Ifedi had a passable game. I think it was Fenn that in the Ring of Honor that had pointed that out first. And I was like, yeah, he did. He actually looked like a guy who can play a little bit. So we've seen improvement 2 weeks in a row out of Ifedi, and I think that's helpful. Fortunately, coming up this next week, he's not going to see the pass rushers that he has like the first 3 weeks. So I expect to see even better play for him going forward here, at least for another week.
And we will get to the Arizona game shortly, but sticking on the offensive line, only 10 pressures in this game against the Cowboys, and Jermaine Ifedi was responsible for 3 of those, but no sacks on the day. Only 1 sack, really, and that's attributed to Russell Wilson as he was scrambling out of the pocket. And J.R. Sweezy with 2 pressures, Joey Hunt with 1, Dwayne Brown with 1, and DJ Fluker, 0. That's what you like to see.
That's exactly what you like to see. And I think he makes a big difference for the offensive line. And I'm excited to see what happens when Posick comes back. It sounds like that'll be happening this week. And Britt as well. Even though Joey Hunt let's talk a little center. Let's give a little center love out there.
Okay.
Joey Hunt played good. For a backup center, and he gets the penalty on Gregory to, get us down there
15 yards closer. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. No, I'm very happy with the offensive line play. And more than that, I'm just ecstatic about the idea that we went out there and actually ran the ball. Just did it. Like that's all I've been asking for. Like this whole first part of the season was to just do that and stick with it. And they did it. And lo and behold, look at the result. The offense looked like it could actually be functional.
And it wasn't necessarily a spectacular rushing performance by Chris Carson.
Need to be.
It just had to be. Just the physical nature of it was one. The fact that they gained positive yards. Of the 32 runs, only 2 of those runs went for negatives. So the fact that they weren't negative plays when you're getting first down and second down and making progress. And they mixed it up well, too. That was one thing that I went back and looked at. And as far as, was it predictable? Was it run, pass every time? No.
Right.
They mixed it up. The fact that they had so many manageable third down situations is a big part of the reason why they were actually successful on third down in this game.
Being on schedule is one of the biggest things in the NFL when it comes to converting third downs. So I'm going to give the visor, Brian Schottenheimer, a little credit. That looked like a well thought out game plan. And just like you said, the mixing of the run and the pass, the way that he did that, I thought was really good. I could still stand to see a few more screens. To read option. Like, I'm still looking for some creativity, but as far as if you're going to run that old school looking NFL offense, that's the way that you would do it. And I thought that the difference between, and although we only saw Rashard Penny run 3 times, the difference between Chris Carson and Penny, it's obvious now, right? Like we can all settle that Rashad Penny's not as good as Chris Carson and he's not ready to be the starting back. Like he needs to work on his pass protection, which he can get better at and probably will. He needs to work on, 1 foot in the ground, cut and go. And I think he can get better at that and he will. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm saying that there's a bunch of things that he can do, 4 or 5 things and get better at. But right now, Chris Carson is by far the better running back and he runs with the attitude. You mentioned the physicality and that was the part that I loved the most. Finishing off every pass catch, every run by thumping somebody with his shoulder pads. That to me was Seahawks football. That felt like the kind of physical dominating team that we want to be to complement the defense who played lights freaking out.
Playing solid defense, Russell Wilson hitting some really nice passes on the day. Let's go through some of the highlights in this game. And I do want to start with Earl Thomas because he really was the star of this game. And in the first quarter, he had one of the most exciting plays of the game.
Ezekiel Elliott, the single setback. Prescott looks, throws a rifle. Ball is picked off. Earl is coming back the other way, 40. Turns upfield, 35-30. Now cuts back to the middle of the field. Makes one man miss and is dropped at the 29-yard line. Now they're going to say it's an incomplete pass. The ball was tipped away from the intended receiver. Flowers broke it up. Earl took it off his shoe tops, and the back judge says it was an incomplete pass and it touched the ground.
I don't think so.
Carroll could see it instantly on the sidelines. The red flag was out of his pocket like that, but they're going to bring the ball back to the point of the interception. Earl literally scooping that up off his shoe tops.
See, that doesn't make sense to me.
Amazing catch by Earl, and Wyman is right at the end of that clip. That doesn't make sense. Why the officials decided to rule it incomplete when turnovers are reviewed anyway.
Well, you got to rule it one way or the other. I'm not mad that they ruled it incomplete. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. Like, that's tough to tell. I mean,
it took points off the board, though. I mean, it had the potential to take points off the board. They would have been in field goal range.
But it's reviewed anyways.
When they rule it incomplete, you do not get the return yardage. So if you rule it,
I suppose so,
to allow for the interception, then you've let it play out and you get the yardage. Instead, they rule it incomplete, and by rule, you can't advance it that way.
Him picking it up off his leg and top of his foot like that isn't something that's obvious.
It's hard to see.
So I get why they could have ruled it incomplete. I mean, it would have been more beneficial if they had ruled it an interception, sure. But I'm not mad about it. There's just not a lot I can be mad about in this game, Brandon.
It's hard to be mad.
Yeah. This is Earl Thomas, a special player, right? I mean, he's showing out. And I think at some point here, you got to just write the man a check.
I think we've talked about it enough, though, at this point to understand where both sides are at and how it does make sense for the Seahawks to wait until the end of the season. If you can wait till the end of the season and the safety market is what it is then as it is now, then you pay Earl Thomas the most amount of money that he'll get out of all the teams, and he stays with the Seahawks, and maybe it works out to where it's not even that much more than what you're paying him right now.
Why would the safety market be even less at the end of the season than it is now? It's already a depressed year.
But Earl may not want to accept that until other teams come with offers.
Well, that's fine, but now you risk him signing somewhere else just because he's pissed off.
You think Earl Thomas is a guy who's going to take less just to somewhere else?
Honestly, I don't think he has that kind of spite in his heart about this. Like that doesn't feel like it's not like Le'Veon Bell, right?
Right.
Where it feels like he wants to just give the Steelers a middle finger and has no desire to be there. I think if he got what he felt was a fair offer, he'd have no problem finishing out his career in Seattle. Would love to.
Yeah.
But also, number one, he wants to take care of himself, and then he wants to take care of the team, which is fine. Just pay him. Just freaking pay him. Front load it the first 2 years. Have it so it's team friendly the last 2 years. Move on.
It seems like something should be able to work out, but
because this is the type of stuff that he does. 2 picks in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Earl Thomas is a baller.
1st and 10. Stops, looks to the end zone, fires down the middle, ball tipped up, ball is intercepted by the Seahawks. Is it not? No. Yes, no. Show me, Mr. Official, yes. Earl Thomas, a flag is down, 2 flags are down. Nobody cares right now as the Seahawks may have snuffed out the last drive of these Dallas Cowboys. That ball was tipped up in the air, bounced around, and number 29 picks it off.
Yeah, Earl kind of went over to the Cowboy sideline and took a bow.
Yeah.
That might have had something to do with it.
When you pick off 2 passes in a game, take a bow.
Take a bow, indeed.
Rabel's calls are hilarious. You can't beat that. Yes, no, yes, maybe.
That's how I felt at the time too.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You pair him with McDougald, who also played lights out. I mean, what a find he's been.
Holy
Just a revelation.
smokes, what a tandem those two have been. And Ben Baldwin, if you follow the reports on The Athletic, did a nice write-up of Bradley McDougald, and just not just his ability to get the ball, but gosh, his coverage ability in this game, where he batted down a pass to the tight end, where he came from 15 yards deep to make the tackle on Ezekiel Elliott just out in the open for a loss. He had some great plays in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the defense as a whole has really just been amazing. I mean, they really have played super well. What are they? They're in the top 10 in overall defense in the league right now, right? I think they're 6th.
Yeah, they're top. I think they're 8th in passing, but then they're all the way down, I think, in the 30s for rush defense.
Yeah, well, okay, that's fine if you're looking at that
in terms of total yards, which in this game that didn't tell the story. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott had 52 yards when they were down 24-6.
Yeah, that's garbage time yards. I don't give a crap about yards. I've been seeing a lot of stats about yards. Like I read a article just today, and they were talking about or maybe it was the power rankings. Like, well, Russell Wilson only threw for 196 yards, so who gives a crap? He threw for 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Not managed the game. He dominated the game from the quarterback position exactly as he should.
This was his best game.
Yeah. Like what?
He had more yards than the other two games. That doesn't mean that's his best. Those were better games.
God, get off of yards, people. It doesn't freaking matter.
Well, it matters in fantasy, but that's it.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't play fantasy. You start focusing on crap that doesn't matter. This defense is playing really stinking well. And just think about the idea, like, what a difference Bobby Wagner made, right? I mean, having him back, you could feel his presence in the way that he was flying around. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when KJ comes back? On top of that, having the corners back is making a big difference. Trey Flowers as a rookie is playing well. Like, every week he seems to grow. This defense is sneaky good, and people are completely sleeping on it.
It's a little early for me to get on the Trey Flowers hype train too much, especially considering the caliber of the Cowboys wide receivers. But it's good to have him back in there. He did only allow 4 completions on 9 catches in this game.
I'm not saying that he's the second coming of Deion Sanders. Just saying, like, he's growing and he's playing well enough. He's playing as a league average corner
for a rookie, which is outstanding. So for a guy drafted in the 5th round.
Yeah, it's not a hype train. It's not like I'm driving the hype train. Yeah. I'm not a conductor here. I'm just saying he's playing like a serviceable guy. Right. And then Justin Coleman playing very well too. On top of all that.
Yeah, Justin Coleman, and I mean, to go back to Bradley McDougald, the fumble on the Ezekiel Elliott play that he caused.
1st and 10. Elliott goes left side. He breaks a tackle. He's got some running room down the far sideline. Stops and cuts back. Fumbles a football on the far side. The Seahawks say they have it. And they do. Zeke Elliott with a heck of a run. Tried to cut back. I didn't see who punched the ball out. It might have been Coleman. No, coming from behind. Knocking it out, of course. Bradley McDougald still waiting to unpile on the far side, and now the official says the Seahawks have it.
After Cam Chancellor left, I didn't expect the Seahawks to continue to have the best safety tandem in the NFL, but we do, and it's awesome.
And I am surprised at the turnover rate at this point.
For the entire defense.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, I didn't see that coming because, honestly, the last 2 years, it hasn't been there.
Do you think it's a product of just Pete Carroll's continued emphasis, or the fact that teams may be sleeping on the Seahawks defense now, knowing that Richard Sherman's gone, knowing that Cam's gone, knowing Michael Bennett's gone, and Cliff Averill? Do you think that they just feel like they can challenge the Seahawks secondary more?
I think about 80% of turnovers are luck. So, like, there's a little bit of that.
A little bit of luck through the first 3 games.
But, I mean, when you're in the position, if you're put in a lucky position, then you have to capitalize. And at least they're doing that, right? And I think that's pretty impressive. Let's talk about the defensive line a little bit, though. Jaron Reed, with the pressure from the middle, if he can continue to play like that, this pass rush that we were all saying, oh my gosh, where are they gonna get a pass rush? We're not going to have to worry about that. I mean, if Deion Jordan can crank it up just a little bit more as he's starting to get his legs under him, pair that with Frank Clark and company, and now you're cooking with gas here.
Yeah, and hopefully Deion Jordan is healthy. It sounded like, well, he walked off the field kind of holding his wrist. They call it Brandon Jackson from the practice squad this week. So we will see if Jordan, his health status in these next couple days leading up before the Cardinals game. But Jaron Reed, you mentioned it, 2 sacks on the game. Now he's doubled the sack total of your big time free agent signing from last year, Sheldon Richardson, who left.
Right.
And if they can get that production from Jaron Reed, 5 total pressures on the day, great.
Yeah. Him combined with Quentin Jefferson's a pretty nice tandem, is it not?
And then Frank Clark on the edge.
I'm just really, really pleased with the way the defense has been coming together over the course of the first 3 weeks. And it's keeping us in games. And, in this case, the offense being able to keep them fresh by running the football and keeping time of possession in their favor. You can see that if you keep these guys from getting gassed, they'll absolutely dominate the other team when it comes down to the fourth quarter.
Another guy in the plus column for pass rushing, Michael Kendricks, who got another sack in this game. Yeah.
Prescott now pointing something out to his lineman, steps back into the shotgun, awaits the snap, takes it, here comes the blitz. He gets swarmed under. He's going to go down. Michael Kendricks and Dak Prescott was forced out of the pocket and right into the arms of one of the newest Seahawks, Michael Kendricks. Another sack, the third one on the day for the Hawks.
Michael Kendricks playing every game like it's his last.
True fact. I think you have to look at him as a major plus as an addition. And another guy that I'm looking at is a major plus from that linebacking core and is playing well is Mingo. I mean, he had a sack as well in this game.
Prescott under center. Elliott, the single setback. Play fake to him. Prescott gets hit in the backfield. He is slammed down by Barkevious Mingo, who came off the near side. Prescott turned after the play fake, and he had nothing but a face full of number 51. A big sack, 11 yards all the way back inside the 10.
And boy, did he have a sack. Man, he ragdolled Dak Prescott. You go, wait a second. Tapping a quarterback on the shoulder is a flag, but ragdolling him and throwing him to the ground, like you can do that still?
Yeah, you can apparently. And the roughing the passer stuff. Well, again, we'll get to that later, but geez Louise. I just look at the linebacker core. I mean, Calitro's filling in and he's doing his best, and bless his heart, and that's fine. But you think about the idea of Mingo, Kendricks, Bobby, and KJ. Holy smokes, that's quite the linebacker core.
I am ready to get KJ back into this group. And is it finally getting close? Are we going to see it this week, or is it going to be another week still?
Well, if I'm the Seahawks, I probably roll another week without KJ. Rolling into unless you want him to knock a little rust off, so to speak, and then be ready for the Rams. I don't know. I don't know that we necessarily need him against the Cardinals.
Although it sounded like from the press conferences that Kendricks could be in question for this weekend now.
Oh, no kidding.
Pete was asked about whether or not he'd be available to play, and he said he didn't know. Whereas in previous questioning, he'd said he's been definitive as a yes.
Well, sort of. He's also been like, yeah, we haven't really talked about it. And like, no. No, of course he doesn't know. Nobody knows.
We will find out before game time, I'm sure. But KJ Wright, it'd be just nice to have that entire group healthy going into the Cardinals, but especially next week against the Rams.
That's what I'm more concerned about. I would like to have him for that game.
Not to look ahead, but going back to the defensive line, 23 total pressures on the game. That felt more like, the kind and coming from every direction. Another guy we didn't mention, Rasheem Green, out there on the field for 29 snaps and had 2 quarterback hurries in that time. Yeah.
He's starting to get it figured out a little bit as a rookie. I guess what I'm most impressed with that group up front, I mean, the pass rush is great, and I wanted to give him some shine for that. But really, the way that they shut down Zeke until it was time to just play soft zone coverage and everybody's backed off and you're looking for the pass, then Zeke gets a bunch of yards. Well, whoop-de-doo-dah-day. They shut down the Cowboys' run game. That vaunted offensive line and the second coming of Zeus, Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. That was awesome to see. They've really been solid against the run all season. I've yet to feel like, oh man, we're really getting gashed on the ground.
Which is weird when you look at the total rushing yards given up, but I think a lot of that is because the yards given up late in games.
It's because yards don't matter?
Yards don't matter. I know. I keep forgetting that.
Right.
Let's move on and talk about some of the standout players on offense, including one quarterback, Russell Carrington-Wilson. And he showed us some stuff in this game, including this first touchdown pass of the game to the good Brown.
Russell with the snap, takes it, looks to the end zone, touchdown, Seahawks! Jaron Brown, the former Cardinal, Russell right back to the line. The Cowboys were still getting set up. 16-yard strike right down the middle of the field, and the Seahawks are on the board.
I watched this game at a bar in Idaho, and there were 2 Cowboys fans in there. There's like 10 people in there, and besides the 3 of us, the other 7 weren't watching football at all. They were old people that were just like there for lunch after church, right? So it was 3 football fans in there, and somehow in Idaho it was 2 Cowboys fans and me. So it was insufferable. But Russell takes a snap there, and before he hits his back foot, I stood up off my bar stool, both hands in the air, and I was just like, touchdown. And then he uncorks it to Brown. I mean, that was a beautiful play. And the reason I knew it, the second that the snap, is the offensive line, you could tell, had the protection just right. And I was like, oh, you give Russ that kind of protection right now in this moment, being about, what was that, 15 yards out, somewhere in there, 12 yards out? I don't know how far it was.
It was an 11-yard pass, yeah.
Okay. He's got a little space to operate. I was like, that's a touchdown. You could see it instantaneously. And so did Russ. Makes the right read. And he's still, I'm not saying he did it new in this game. He is still getting the ball out quickly into his first read when they're open.
Well, they did run the numbers on just how fast he was getting out the ball. And it has been faster in this last game.
Oh, my gosh. Can we talk about the stupid how many seconds it takes until they throw football?
It's just an average number of the time it takes to get the football out.
Right. So if you call, you act like, or not you, but people who bring this stat up, they act like this is somehow an end-all, be-all if he's getting the ball out quick or not. Well, here you go, genius. If Brian Schottenheimer is calling for 2 quarters, say like the second and third quarter of the last game, a bunch of long, late developing routes, guess what Russell has to do before he can get the ball out to his first read?
He's got to hold the ball longer.
Like by 0.2 of a second more. We're talking, that's barely a blink of an eye. It's absolutely asinine to look at that number and think that tells the story of how he's getting the ball out or not. Watch the film. I sat down and broke it down to you guys last week. He's doing the exact same thing this week, only the offensive line protected a little better because they ran the football so that the defensive line couldn't tee off on him all freaking day. It was that simple. It's the same guy. He's still good.
It's the same guy. And one of the things you're hearing from Pete Carroll is they are allowing him to dictate the tempo a little bit more. And that was a big part of this touchdown, that he got the team up to the line. It was interesting. I listened to a little bit of the Cowboys broadcast, and they were still watching the replay of the play before when the touchdown was scored. Russell caught the announcers off guard. and he did with the Dallas defense in that situation, too. I don't think they were quite ready for him to go to that quick tempo at that moment.
When you start talking about a quarterback dictating the tempo of the game at different spots and picking really good spots to do it in, anybody that sits and tries to tell you that he's not an elite quarterback, because there's always people that do, just point to that right there, because that's upper tier skills. When a quarterback can start doing that, I mean, you're on a whole nother level. Can you imagine right now Josh Rosen dictating the tempo of a game rather than just trying to get through it? Can you imagine Andy Dalton doing that? Joe Flacco?
I can't even imagine Sam Bradford doing it. And he's a veteran.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. That's high level stuff. And I think that's going to be something we see all year in a really important part of this offense going forward.
Another high-level pass for Russell Wilson was the touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett, fitting it through the window, and Lockett going in for the score.
Russell from the shotgun, Davis in the backfield, slot far side, 4-man rush. Russell steps up in the pocket, throws down the sideline, Lockett, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Seahawks, Russell Wilson on a strike to Tyler Lockett down the right sidelines. And Tyler tiptoes in, untouched. The Seahawks stretch their lead, a 52-yard touchdown strike.
So, kind of glad we paid that guy, huh?
Yeah, the Tyler Lockett signing's looking pretty good. 3 touchdowns in 3 games to start the season. He's got a turkey.
Feel good for you. I'm looking at your Tyler Lockett jersey hanging right behind you right now, up on the wall. Yeah.
It's my new Lucky Game Day jersey.
Yeah, I think I might have found my Lucky Game Day combo, too. I'm going to have to address that later in the podcast, too, because I think we got a voicemail regarding that, or an email. Yeah, maybe it was an email from Gary talking about my hoodie. So we'll have to go with we'll get to that later.
Okay. Well, Russell Wilson with the pass there, and with Baldwin being out and not really having a good idea of when he may necessarily be back, I think we did find out that it's a grade 2 MCL sprain, which means there's slight tearing, which could be 4 to 6 weeks recovery time. And I still don't know if we figured out exactly what Doug Baldwin was upset about on the sideline.
I can't believe not one thing came out from that. Like, there's not one story, not one reporter, like, got one guy to talk about it. I haven't heard jack about that, and I really wanted to know what angry Doug Baldwin was so angry about.
I saw some interesting posts on Reddit of trying to do the lip reading, and most of
there's some F-bombs in there. I know that.
I think all of us could read the F-bombs.
Yeah.
But maybe just from some frustration of not being out there in the game. And Brandon Marshall did have some drops early on, and I think he recognized that after he got the ball on a rope from Russell Wilson in the third quarter.
Carson with him in the backfield, a 4-man rush. Russell stops, looks, throws. Ball is caught! What a shot! The defender never saw it. Brandon Marshall, I didn't know if he was going to see it. And he's doing push-ups for the couple that got away from him earlier. A 27-yard strike. And that, you talk about on the money, right into the hands, and the big hands they are, of Brandon Marshall.
I'm glad to hear that some of Wyman's chuckles are back. Yeah. Like in your earlier highlights, like, there weren't any of them, and like I was missing them. So like I'm glad to hear that in there. But Russell Wilson didn't miss Brandon Marshall there. Holy smokes!
That was a dart right to his hands.
Yeah, those are the mind-boggling throws. Those are the ones where you're like, oh, okay. Top tier QBs in this league are just a different species than the rest of us, because it was unbelievable.
A quarterback rating of 109.8.
That's
2 touchdowns.
Good.
Yeah.
That's not good. No, he only had 196 yards. He was terrible. He stunk.
I guess technically he was sacked twice, but one of them, was like a rush for no gain.
The only thing I'm looking for now is for the Seahawks to start utilizing Russell Wilson's legs a little bit more in the run game itself. Like, I don't understand why we take half of this guy's natural, amazing ability and take it away from him.
I think he did report a hamstring injury during practice this last week. And I think the way that he went down in the Bears game, there was one of the sacks where he went down where it looked like he could have had a hamstring issue from that. So I think that maybe just in this last game against the Cowboys, they were protecting him a little bit and didn't necessarily want him running.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's the reason, then I appreciate your facts, logic, and reason. Like that would help explain that to me. Thank you. I didn't understand it, and you explained it.
Yeah, now you know.
Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's what I need out of you. It's next level.
Well, what do you say we move on to this game against the Arizona Cardinals, Adam?
Oh, let me wipe the drool off my face. Like, I cannot wait to face these guys.
And if you do want to, if you are yourself drooling to catch this game, you're down in Arizona, go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/tickets and get some tickets to this game, because if you watched any of the Chicago game against the Arizona Cardinals, you'll know that there's probably going to be plenty of seats available, and it'll probably feel a lot like a Seahawks home game. The Seahawks could be playing in front of our home crowd down there in Arizona.
Wait, are you telling me that the second the Cardinals aren't good, suddenly their stadium's empty? That when people talk about fair weather fans, like that literally is the definition of fair weather fans, Arizona Cardinal fan? Seriously, I'm stunned.
Pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how that could have happened.
You don't think they're super excited about Sam Bradford down there in Arizona?
Well, the sad part is they're not even super excited about Josh Rosen.
They should be a little bit excited about Josh Rosen.
Well, no, they shouldn't, because he's not going to be good. But that's okay.
He's
still your first round quarterback.
He is the better quarterback of the quarterbacks on the team, though. You've seen that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the bar's low.
I went back and watched his game against the Saints, where he was actually playing behind the first team offensive line.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be so quick to be salivating.
Okay. He's not good.
I think him and Christian Kirk are a nice little duo. And then when you throw David Johnson in there.
This is easy, Brandon. Let me break this down for you right quick. As a
Cardinals fan, I'd be concerned about the offensive line.
That's right. Their offensive line stinks. The whole offense is David Johnson or bust. The Seahawks are good at stopping the run. And then all you got to do is bait a rookie quarterback into 2 mistakes. Shouldn't be all that difficult. This is a hell of a matchup for the Seahawks.
And a big part of it will depend on how defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. approaches this too.
The right way, I'm sure, because he's awesome. Tell me haven't been super impressed with Ken Norton.
Oh yeah, he's called great games here through especially the last 2 games.
He's going to tear these guys down, man.
If you start sending blitzers toward Josh Rosen in his opening game at home, he's going to make mistakes.
Absolutely he is. And rightfully so. He's a rookie.
But don't just let him sit back there and give him time just to see what he does.
I don't think we're going to need to worry about that.
Okay. That's the one thing I worry about.
All right. So we went into the season with our confidence level about the Seahawks being, we'll see. Right?
Right.
Okay. Like coming off a nice win at home against a Cowboys team that's better than this Cardinals team, albeit maybe not by a ton. Coming in, on the road to a division rival that you legitimately sports hate. This is my moment to like be cocky and arrogant about going in and beating up on a team. Like, don't take this away from me.
Okay.
Like, I want to ride high this week. Can I ride high?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just looking at this roster and there's just nothing there. Short of Peterson on defense and, Fitz and Kirk. David Johnson doesn't scare me.
And a big part of that is having blockers in front of you. And I mean, Derek Coleman, former Seahawk, he can do some blocking. But when your offensive line and you've got DJ Humphries, which, I think down the road he could be good.
If you want an offensive line if you want to watch an offensive line that's legitimately worse than you're a Seattle fan, watch this Arizona line.
It's interesting looking at the PFF grades because Ifedi has an elite pass blocking grade, but run blocking, not so much.
Well, he's getting old.
And they have injury issues to deal with, especially on the right side. John Wetzel. Who's that? I think that's their backup right tackle.
Oh, okay.
Andre Smith has been injured.
Yeah, they're not a good offensive line. They don't have the tight end to really scare a defense, which is obviously a bugaboo. I guess the only thing that really worries me is flare passes to David Johnson.
And with the way that your safety, Bradley McDougall's been playing, and Michael Kendricks, feels like they should be able to sort that out. On defense, though, they still have some pieces on defense. They still have Patrick Peterson. You know what? Another former Seahawk who's having a nice season, Benson Mayowa, who's leading the team in pressures with 11 pressures, 2 sacks. They still have Chandler Jones,
who's not good. How many years in a row do I have to tell you he's not good? Have him be not good, and for me to finally be told I'm right about this?
You don't think Chandler Jones is good?
Oh my God! I've been saying it since they traded for him. He's not late. Tell me the last time as a Seahawks fan you went, "Oh my gosh, Chandler Jones just did something amazing there." Like while we're playing him, like, "Oh my gosh, he's a difference maker." When's the last time you did that? Will be the first time.
He racked up the sacks last year. He's one of the leading league leaders in sacks last year.
He's not good.
Well, behind Benson Mayowa, they do have the 3 guys behind him as far as getting pressure to worry about so far. Robert Nkemdiche, who I know you'll say is not that good, but I think
he's not.
And Deion Buchanan and Chandler Jones. Those are your 3 guys with 6 pressures apiece. And another guy who jumped out just watching some of the past games, Budda Baker, flying all over the field. 21 tackles on the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy with a lot of upside. I wouldn't have minded to see him drafted by the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a guy that I believe in, going forward. But again, a rookie. Look, this Arizona roster might be the worst in the league.
They were close against the Bears, though. I told you, if Josh Rosen would have played that full game against the Bears, Arizona would have won that game. Because all of the throws that Sam Bradford made early, any quarterback could make. Dudes were wide open, and the Bears were having some miscommunications issues early on. They fumbled the ball early on, didn't take care of the football, and the Cardinals capitalized. And all they had to do was not give the ball to Sam Bradford for him to screw it up. and they would have been fine in that game. He turned the ball over so many times, not taking care of the football, and let the Bears back into that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a believer in the Bears. I haven't been since the beginning of the year. I feel like our game against the Bears was easily winnable. And if it weren't for terrible coaching in that game, we would have won that game. So I for the Cardinals to be up a little bit on the Bears while they're on the road, that's not impressive.
You weren't impressed by the Bears getting that win?
No. And I'm not impressed. And I'm not impressed by the Cardinals, like playing them, close or for the first two quarters, or at least, jumping out to a quick lead. That's not impressive.
Yeah, these were two okay teams and maybe even not that great teams.
Right.
I'm still a little bitter about losing to the Bears.
Me too. So speaking about, road games, right? We've talked about this multiple times. We need to go 8-0 at home and 500 on the road. This is one of the road games you have to win. Like, there is no losing this game. You lose this game, that is a problem.
No, then you're talking about having to win other road games against teams like the Rams and just to be able to stay with them in the division.
Yeah, this is a must win, believe it or not. Like, this is a team you have to beat. Everything sets up perfect. You end up 2-2. You got the Rams coming home the next week, and we'll see what happens because they're starting to get banged up.
They are.
Huh. So you trade and sign a bunch of aging veterans, and a couple of them start to get nicked up early in the season, huh?
That's weird.
Yep. Super teams are the best.
That offense is looking pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's pretty warm weather, isn't it? Them and the Chiefs, man, tap the brakes. I'm just telling you.
It's a little bit early with all these teams. Shoot, you look over in the AFC East and you go, oh, yeah, Patriots have lost 2 games. The Dolphins are 3-0. It's easy to look and just say, yeah, Dolphins and Rams in the Super Bowl through this point of the season, right?
Right.
Or Dolphins Chiefs in the AFC Championship to determine who goes to the Super Bowl against the Rams.
If you want to crown them, crown them. But yeah, I mean, it is very early, and people trying to bury the Seahawks right out of the gate after 2 tough road losses that they were right in. Then they have a very good performance at home, and now they can get back to 500. Should be back at 500 after this week, with a chance then to knock off the Rams in your house the next week. If they end up over these next 2 weeks finishing up at 3-2 with a win over the Rams, now we're talking. Like this kid, that's looking like the team that we both kind of envisioned at the beginning of the year.
And you do have the Rams at home, so that's a fun little. With the defense getting healthier, this is going to be a great tune-up game. I just can't. I love watching Arizona in misery. So like, I can't wait to watch them just have the struggles. And, another thing that works in the Seahawks' favor going forward this season, and not that I would root for such a thing and not that I'm happy about it, but it is the truth of the matter. Jimmy G tears his ACL, and that changes that whole complexion of that 49ers team that I wasn't sold on to begin with, but that makes that a little easier over 2 games this season. And late in the season, they still have some time to figure things out exactly what they're doing by the time the Seahawks face them in December twice. But yeah, that's such a bummer for 49ers fans.
Totally.
Every time I see a starting quarterback go down, I just picture how I would feel.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's about as far in the thought process as I get every time, but, cause I just can't. But no, I didn't want to see Jimmy G get hurt like that, but that is helpful.
You mentioned not being sold on that team. That's a team that almost gave away a victory against the Lions. And and again, maybe pump the brakes on the Lions being a bad team. They go in and take down the Patriots and give Patricia his first win against his former coach.
Yeah, that's I don't put a lot of stock into that.
There's some emotion there.
Yeah, that's true. But it was very cool to see the Seahawks come away at the win this last week. So that's one of their projected 3 wins, Hawk Blogger. Guess we have a third of our win total already.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Hey, Hawk Blogger is not the only guy out there saying this.
I know. I don't mean to throw him. I don't mean to throw Brian under the bus like that. But like, I mean, the pump the brake talk, right? Like pump the brakes on the Chiefs and the Rams and the Dolphins a little bit. Pump the brakes on the Seahawks are terrible a little bit.
I do understand it though. It's the same thing with all the Earl Thomas trade talk. I mean, you get fed the same thing over and over and over throughout the season. And then you have a couple bad games, or you have Earl Thomas talking as though, practice isn't important, kind of given his Allen Iverson approach to the games. And then you start, it all just seems to start to come together in your mind that, something bad is happening here and I need to think the worst. I can understand it.
Well, so you said you get fed all that stuff, right? Don't eat. Don't eat it. Like, that's it. I read and listen to so little of the outside stuff because, I mean, short of press conferences where it's coming straight from the mouth of the person who's talking rather than, second and third hand and just all of that garbage, man. This is why I don't get involved in all that, because it totally skews yourself from the actual reality that's going on. Watch the games, make your own opinion. Do that. And then listen to us, because we're going to give you actually the straight skinny. We're the only ones that aren't going to lead you astray and feed you all this BS.
It is hard though. I mean, because I look through it all too.
Don't do that.
It's our job to know what's going on out there.
Well, yeah, I can know what's going on without reading like some BS article written by some guy that doesn't know his head from his butt. Which is like half of these articles. Don't get caught up into it.
Well, if you want to join some other Seahawks fans down in Arizona, Friday night, there's a Seahawkers meet and greet at Skeptical Chemist, the Seahawks bar down in Scottsdale, Arizona. They're going to be there at 7, so lots of fun times down there in Arizona. If you need tickets for the game, SeahawkersPodcast.com/tickets. And this would be a fun game to go to if you're in the Arizona area.
Yeah, Skeptical Chemist. That's a solid bar name. That'd be a good band name too, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's the Seahawks bar down there.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that the Seahawks bar has an awesome name.
I think all the Seahawks bars are awesome.
Well, yes, I just like their name.
Are you saying that there's some Seahawks bars that don't have awesome names?
Brandon, I love all my Seahawks bars. Okay, all of them equally.
Am I fat?
Just like, you look fat in that. You do. I'm not gonna lie. You look fat. You look fat with that face. You do.
Well, I think with that, let's move on to the second half of the show.
I love you, Brandon.
And getting into the second half of the show, let's look at our Seahawkers podcast Pick'em League leaderboard, Adam.
Do we have to?
Well, I'm not going down to where you or I are on the list, but we can look at the top. And who's ahead between me and you right now? Oh, it's got to be you. I didn't gain any ground on you this week.
I don't know how you didn't.
I think I maybe got 7 games.
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm somewhere in the same area. Yeah. It was ugly.
Well, fortunately, the Steelers did bounce back to get me that game on Monday night.
Yeah, they did.
But Ty Hawker and Travers 69 both have 32 points. That's 32 games correct, 16 wrong. They got 2/3 of their games correct so far through 3 weeks of the season.
They're both witch doctors. Like, that's the only, they must get their picks via Ouija board. Like, that's the only way I can figure.
Barb's 44 gets the win among our VIP flockers. So those at 3 and above at getintheflock.com. Barb's 44 wins a signed Earl Thomas mini helmet. And after that performance last week,
sweet.
That's pretty
that
sweet.
Thing is sweet. I'm very jealous.
It came down to the tiebreaker between Barb's 44. So Adam and then Matt was also in there at 12 points, but the cumulative score on that Monday night game, 57 points, and Adam guessed 55. So,
well, I mean, his name's Adam. He must be awesome.
It helps. Yeah, we might have to, and he's up in Calgary, so maybe we'll be delivering that helmet in person when we go and fly out to London.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
My passport arrived.
Mine too.
My bags are packed. I'm ready to go.
Leaving on a jet plane.
Yeah. Before long, I'll be standing right outside your door.
Yeah, a pretty good week for Adam and getting that mini helmet. So I think we'll be doing a Fanatics gift card once again this week. Seahawkerspodcast.com/fan. You can go there, get your gear. My mom went and she got the Seahawks Nikes. Have you seen those?
Oh, I did see a picture of those, and I can totally see Glenda rocking those.
Yeah.
Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and as soon as she put those on, let me tell you what happened at the exact moment that she came over to my house and she tried on those Seahawks Nikes.
2nd down and goal from the 5. Russell takes a high snap, hands it off. Chris Carson pounds his way in. Touchdown, Seahawks! Carson from 5 yards out, and unless you built a wall right in front of him, and even that probably wasn't going to stop him, he pounds it in, and the Seahawks needed that one as they stretched their lead to 23-6.
So basically, they're magic shoes.
They're magic shoes.
Yeah, well, we know what your mom needs to be wearing every weekend now. But it was cool. The best part about that play, though, Brandon, was the idea that somebody other than the quarterback rushed for a touchdown in a season in 2 weeks.
Yeah, how did a touchdown happen and Russell Wilson's name not get called?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he handed the ball off, right? Like, Russell Wilson hands it to Carson. Didn't he say that?
That's true. It just seemed like there was very little going on with Russell Wilson in that particular play. I felt like he on touchdown plays he usually does more. So I don't know. Maybe he's getting lazy now.
Ball across the line, or he runs the ball across the line. I don't.
Neither of those things happen. I can't recall
him just like giving it to another guy and having him do some of those things.
When was that the last time that happened inside the red zone? 2016, I think, because it didn't happen last year.
Nope, it did not.
Yeah, exciting to see Carson get the score there, and excited to see my mom, fit into her new pair of shoes. Well, some new members to welcome to the flock this week. Welcome to the flock to Melissa, who sent over a $12.12 donation via PayPal. So thank you to Melissa.
Yeah, the girl is apparently dyslexic on Facebook.
It's all for anonymity purposes, Adam.
Yeah, I'm actually totally on board with it. Like being the anti-government hermit that I am.
And the government would never figure that out.
I was confused. So good on her.
Yeah, we gave her a little bit of a hard time, and she is in our Facebook group. Vincent Parker, the other half of Vincent. So very cool to have them both.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hadn't put that together.
Yeah,
well, that's awesome.
He added her to the group by accident. And I said, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Just pony up.
And she did.
You guys are awesome. That's a good, that couple's got good hokra.
And I didn't say pony up, by the way.
I know you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that. You're not crass.
A new member to welcome to the flock this week as Ryan Fuller came in at $5. I had to do a double take on this one. And
okay. Is it the Ryan Fuller that we know from high school?
No, it's Ryan Fuller from UK. So,
okay,
completely different part of the world.
Yeah. Well, are we sure Ryan Fuller didn't move to England?
Well, he's a Chiefs fan too. So,
that's not good.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
well, not this Ryan Fuller. He's obviously a 12.
He's obviously the fan of the right team.
Yes.
Vidar Raffenkelsen in at $5. Vidar from Iceland. So UK and Iceland getting in the flock this week.
Dude, I am itching to go to Iceland. Like that is on my to-do list. One of these days I'm going to make that happen.
For our London trip, I was looking at the flights that had the Iceland layovers.
I know. We should have done that.
Well, thanks to all three for getting in the flock this week. GetInTheFlock.com. We also had a nice little gift show up in the mail from our good buddy Master Guns over at the Pentagon.
Yeah. This was fun.
And he sent in 2 challenge coins, both inscribed with BALTSB, Better at Life than Skip Bayless, and one with your name, Adam, and one with mine. And they're in this nice little wooden box. So... And he sent along the challenge coin rules too.
Right.
Primarily for you, but it does say and now you're going to...
What, because they don't apply to you?
No, they apply to me too, but I'm aware of the rules.
Oh, okay.
But
this whole challenge coin concept, this is news to me, and I'm learning on the fly, but I enjoy the spirit of it.
And Master Gun says, gentlemen, due to your diligence in effecting the most important Hakra cleansing in the history of the 12th realm, you have been issued Master Gunnery Sergeant Challenge coins. This is truly an honor of the highest order. However, there are some responsibilities associated. From the moment you open the box, I and every other coin-wielding Master Gunnery Sergeant, either active duty or retired, can issue to you a coin challenge.
So here's the part. Here's the little bit of it that I was like, really? Like that's an ambush. That's an ambush in the letter right there. Like you open it up and suddenly now you have responsibility. It's a responsibility ambush, and I think that's a little sneaky. Like that's some asymmetrical warfare right there.
We're talking about the Marines here, Adam. I mean,
I get it. I'm just saying, like that's some sneaky next level stuff.
They know 50 different ways to kill a person with like their little utility shovel.
Well, that seems like a waste of time when you have guns.
No, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
True. How many ways do you need? Maybe just like 2, right?
Probably. It seems like enough.
Yeah, I think you're showing off after about 3.
Yeah. Again, we are talking about the Marines, Adam.
Oh, are they show-offs?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not a part of the military culture. Okay. So but now I am a little bit because of these
proud,
coins.
They take all of this to the highest order, like
the hoorah stuff and all that, whatever. Okay.
And maybe I just take it as a known because I was stationed on board a ship full of Marines, so I have that. I have that experience.
Thanks for explaining. But Master Guns was explaining to me. Like the way this coin works now that I'm a part of this culture.
And see, the thing is now, though, you can also issue a coin challenge to fellow, to all of the Mastery Gunnery Sergeants population with this coin. So you have some power here, too. And it says the honor can only be revoked by me and a great shame upon the revokees.
Yeah, no, I can stay away from great shame. I don't need that.
You don't need great shame.
No, I've got enough shame in my daily life. Like I don't need any more.
So coin checks anytime, any place, and the coin has to be within your reaching distance once challenged.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in your pocket, like just somewhere in your wingspan.
Yes,
that you could grab. Okay, all right. I was unclear on that part, but now I know. So thank you to Master Guns. That's really fun and a great honor. And I'm really excited to get my hands on that beast because apparently right now I'm vulnerable because I don't have it in my hands yet.
Correct, yeah. And you would be this way.
This could get expensive.
Any Master Gunnery Sergeants who are in Adam's vicinity, now you know they can.
Now you know where the free beer is. Until I can get up to Kalispell and get my coin.
Yeah, you may be buying some beer here for the next couple weeks, but we'll see.
I feel like I'm going to get ambushed by some more Master Gunneries. Sergeants. Yeah, Master Gunnery. You got to do the full phrase, right? Like, is it just Master Gunnery or is it Master Gunnery Sergeant?
Master Gunnery Sergeant, yeah.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I had it right.
You got it.
Okay.
Well, Adam, moving on, we do have a voicemail that came in. And
yes!
I haven't checked this out yet, so we'll be listening to this together for the first time.
All right.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Jeremy from California. I was wondering if you all noticed there seemed to be a lot of disarray in the Seahawks defensive setup. Like Dallas would be lined up and everything during the game. And there was a bunch of times where Wagner was like relaying messages at what seemed to me the very last minute. And for some reason, Dak never snapped the ball and took advantage of it. But it seemed like very easily he could have just hiked the ball and then caught the Seahawks off guard because there were a couple times where they were very much out of position. But it almost was like he was waiting for them to make a move so that he could then react to it. And I think that smarter teams that we play are better coached teams. I mean, let's be honest, the Clapper's not really a good coach. But when we play a better team, they're going to be ready for that and snap it and, maybe get a huge jump play on us. Anyways, I was just wondering what you all thought about that. And also, I've been kind of thinking about my feelings with the Seahawks. And one of the things that I've been kind of feeling bummed about this year is not necessarily the lack of talent. I feel like if we were in a rebuilding phase, I could get on board with that. But to me, it's the lack of faith in the coaching and kind of the direction. So I was just wondering what you all thought about that, and if your confidence in the front office and coaching has wavered, or how much it has wavered. Thanks, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Go Hawks.
That was awesome. This voicemail thing, it's got to take off, and Jeremy took full advantage of it. And I really enjoyed the reference to the Bill Simmons podcast. Him and Cousin Sal call Jason Garrett the clapper, because he's always just like clapping on the sidelines.
I saw a lot of those memes too after, and I didn't quite get them either. But after the Earl Thomas interception, somebody shows a GIF of Jason Garrett clapping.
Yeah, it's just kind of his thing. So I enjoyed that very much. Solid call, Jeremy. I think one of the things that we saw, or we're seeing early in the season with the defense being young in a lot of places, is Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas and all those guys having to direct a lot of those younger players to their appropriate spots and their appropriate assignments. So there's going to be a lot of communication that needs to be done on the field, and it does take a little longer. And we talked a little bit about Russell Wilson changing the tempo and taking advantage of things like that because it's next level quarterbacking. Dak Prescott isn't to that level yet, and so no, he wasn't able to take advantage of that. I'm not sure who the first quarterback that we face that would have that ability would be, but hopefully it's enough time for us to kind of get a little more experience with those younger players and be able to be ready and have that communication down on a nonverbal level so it happens faster.
Well, and then, even just in terms of Bobby Wagner, he is kind of that quarterback of the defense. So there's a lot of times where he may see things with the Cowboys alignment where he's telling the defensive lineman to make adjustments based off of what he sees. So you do see a little bit of that in the game, whereas you wouldn't have seen that with Calitro filling in. He doesn't have the ability to recognize that yet, nor the kind of the cachet as the leader of the defense, the captain of the defense that Bobby Wagner is. So I think you see some of that. Now, there were some communication issues with the Seahawks on defense in this last game, and we saw that with twice the defense being called with 12 men on the field. And one of those was after a timeout, which was super maddening as a Seahawks fan to see that happen. Like,
for sure. If
you take a timeout, you should have the right personnel on the field. Like, you should be able to make that work.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's a high level of frustration there. But again, it's early in the season and these things will get worked out. And that kind of gets to the second half of his call, the idea of your faith in the front office and the coaching. And I think we were both frustrated with the coaching last week. And, for the most part,
and the front office with the Tom Johnson, losing him.
Right. So one thing that I think is important to address is the idea of being critical of the team at times, and the people that are either coaching it or running the front office or the players, whoever it is, being critical of them at times doesn't mean that you don't have faith in them to get it figured out, or that you don't think it was an aberration and they'll get back on track, or that you're no longer a fan. You can be critical and still have a lot of love, faith, and support for that player, coach, front office guy.
Yeah.
Like that can be both. So I guess my answer would be, I've been saying this since, before the season started. I am optimistic about this team. I really feel like we're going to be in the 10-win area, and we're just starting to get going. It's starting to feel right.
Yeah, it just, you would have felt better about different moves. The offensive coordinator move being one of them. Some of the personnel moves in the offseason. There's other things that you would have liked to see the team do. Now, liking to see things happen and the team's ability to actually make that happen. It'd be nice to have Ndamukong Suh on the team, maybe, or it's one of those free agents, but I don't think they had the ability necessarily to make some of those moves. So I think both of us realize that there's stuff that's considered by the team, but that could be out of their control. So it's tough to be too critical with some of those things. And, one place where I'm optimistic about the team is just, especially in the way with their handling of Earl Thomas right now. And you listen to a lot of people that think, Earl should be, that they're handling it all wrong. with Earl, but he's balling out. And, you see the argument of people saying that Earl Thomas is setting a bad example for the rookies, and it could be a problem in the locker room. It's not a problem in the locker room. You listen to Earl Thomas's interview after in the post game, and you have Bradley McDougald yelling in the background, "Pay the man." So as long as a dude is balling out, players aren't going to care if he's making plays, as long as he's making plays in the game. Now, if he allows that Ezekiel Elliott touchdown, if he doesn't step out of bounds, if he doesn't make those 2 picks, and Earl has a bad game after sitting out a couple games of practice, then there's probably guys like Bobby Wagner are going, dude, if this is affecting you, you need to be in practice.
Absolutely. And I just think, this will get resolved when it gets resolved. I mean, everybody's chomping at the bit to get this done, and that's why people are putting out the fake news and all that crap. But at the end of the day, there is a game plan here of some kind. The only thing I'm critical of is I'm with Bradley McDougald. Pay the man. But, we can be critical. I think Seahawks fans can be critical on fan pages on Facebook, wherever it is that you interact with other 12s. You can be critical and still be a super fan. There's some people that take the adage, you say one cross thing about the team and you hate the team. So I do think there is a lack of faith overall in the fandom right now in the group of 12s. I think there's a lot of people that maybe their regular inclination is to go negative, and so seeing a couple tough losses right out of the gate, it just kind of feeds into that. But I think it's going to get better. I think the 12s as a whole, our attitude, our spirit is going to get better throughout the season as this team improves and they start to rack up wins.
The one thing with the Earl Thomas situation that I can kind of empathize with fans a little bit, because we did point out, the hoopla factor this offseason. The Seahawks seem to be trending away from things that were like the Earl Thomas situation, getting rid of Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett, maybe trying to assert a little bit more control on behalf of Pete Carroll. But then we see Pete, with the run game, and there's still hoopla factors involved here, right? You can't completely get rid of it. And so maybe we set some of the expectations ourselves that would be zero hoopla and instead of just less hoopla.
Well, you got to have goals. It's all right to aim high.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine. I want Pete to not make screw up. Like he says, he's like, sometimes I screw up too. Well, I get that, and that's realistic, but I just want you to not to.
Right.
Or just all that. It'll be fine. It's working out.
We did have another email come in from Dupree in Southampton, Bermuda. Says, great show. I found it by accident. The logo is what attracted me. So shout out to DCH with the help on the logo.
Heck yeah, man.
I love everything Seahawks. Yes, I do live far from Washington State. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, man. Well, soak up them rays down there, man. I hope you don't get washed off that little rock by one of these gnarly hurricanes, I appreciate it, man. The logo, once we eventually got it all worked out, it took us a couple seasons to settle on it, but it does seem to kind of work.
My favorite thing is going back and looking at some of the logos that we went through to get to the one that we ended up with.
Oh, the some of the preliminary designs.
Yeah,
there are some bad ones.
They're fun. They're fun to look at, though.
There's some really bad ones.
And go, yeah,
so when I was working on that and going back and forth with you, there was certainly a barrier in communication as to what you'd make a suggestion. I'm like, so like this, and you'd be like, no, nothing like that at all, because I was clearly not getting it, which turned into some really ugly prototypes, but
they're fun.
I think, yeah, they are fun,
and they may never be seen by anybody else other than you or me. But I
don't care one way or the other. I mean, if they come out, that's fine. Yeah. I'm not embarrassed.
Well, maybe that's some future content at gettingtheflock.com.
Yeah.
Or our Instagram. I've been trying to put stuff out on our Seahawkers podcast Instagram account.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, one more email before we get to do better and better at life. Here's one from Gary Blum. It says, just 2 thoughts for you, Adam. One, I think the hoodie is the hobo version of the sweatshirt, who mixes a hat into a shirt. Someone who can't afford to buy separates or lacks proper storage space or wants the ability to take all their belongings with them either by wearing them or carrying them without needing extra hands or shopping cart space. Tell me honestly, when you look at Bill Belichick on the sidelines in his hoodie, your first thought isn't, he looks like a catfish hobo. Two, since you have your lucky hobo shirt and are searching for a new lucky hat, just embrace your hobo tendency and grab an action green or wolf gray visor to complete your lucky outfit. Go Hawks, from Gary.
How dare you, Gary? How dare you? You couldn't be more off. Like, he makes fun of the idea of having the hat and the shirt attached and convenient. Like, yes, I do like the idea of being versatile and having clothing with situational ability to change on the fly. Like, that's really nice. And not having to carry it. Like, being a Montanan, like, part of what we do is, like, when we go out and, like, we're hanging out in the woods, we have things that function in multiple different ways just in case. Like, it's called preparedness. Like, that's what it is. Now, I cannot argue with the sleeveless hoodie looking like a hobo hoodie. Because it is. When Belichick cuts off the sleeves, yes, he looks like a hobo.
Right.
That's a hobo hoodie. A sleeveless hoodie. Because now you're taking away one of the bigger assets of the hoodie, and that's the warmth factor of it.
Yeah.
By cutting off the sleeves. So now it's a hobo hoodie. So I reject his premise, and unless you want to call the sleeveless hoodie the hobo hoodie. And I've got lots of hats to choose from that have a full lid on them that they're extra functional too. So I think I'll stick with that. And don't try to infect me with your love for the visor, Gary.
Gary has some love for the visor. I know Clinton has some love for the visor. So we do have factions within our Seahawks fandom that are pro visor. And
I can't help that they're wrong. Like, there's nothing I can do about it, and the only taste that they have is in their mouth.
Look at the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff. Almost every one of those guys wears a visor. And then look at that and ask yourself, do I want to be like that?
Exactly. Point proven.
And it was spreading, too. It was infectious. Earl Thomas reportedly, when he was sitting out practice, wearing a visor. So, see, there's two bad decisions. One, sitting out practice, and two, your headwear.
Well, that's probably why he got the bad idea to sit out practice, is that his head got too baked on the top by the sun. And
it's like, oh, yeah, this, and he confused it for having a headache. It was just, head warmth.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody wants to blame Earl. It's the visor.
Clearly. On to do better and better at life, Adam. Who you got?
My do better this week is for USA Today Sports in their craptastic power rankings. Because this is truly an abomination.
You're going after for all the garbage you give me about looking at other things throughout the web. You're going and looking at power rankings.
I didn't seek it out. It kind of popped up.
It found you.
Yeah, and I don't. It's not like I read all the different power rankings and get my football knowledge from the power rankings. Like, I read them and go, that's stupid. That's smart. And I go through it. I judge them. I don't allow it to shape my view on what's going on in the NFL world.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Okay. It makes a little more sense now. Yeah.
All right, and here's why I don't let it shape my NFL worldview is because this is dumb as catfish. Last week, they had the Seahawks ranked 29th in the league. 29th. What are you watching, number one?
They haven't won any games yet.
So when you're doing power rankings, right, if it's just by record, it should be easy and indisputable, right? Like, you just, teams with the most wins on top, teams with the least wins on bottom. That is not the point of power rankings. It's to look at teams that maybe are better than their records say, and to look at teams that are maybe worse than their records say. 29th to start with last week. And so with their impressive win over the Dallas Cowboys, guess how far the Seahawks rose to?
28?
25th. 25th. With the likes of the Lions, the Jets, the Bears, the Colts, the Browns.
Hey, the
Bengals.
Wait, are we above the Browns now?
No.
Oh.
The Browns are literally ranked 14th and the Seahawks 25th.
The Browns could be 3-0, though.
I'm not even going to respond to that. So, here's how you know this is a messed up list, all right? The team that's just ahead of the Seahawks, 24th in the rankings, the New England Patriots, 24th, with the Jets. The Jets ranked higher than them. The Dolphins ranked higher than them. Like, they're ranked last in their division. The Patriots. So, just that as a fact in and of itself, and the Seahawks ranking so low, the Browns ranked so high. USA Today, do better. Nate Davis apparently writes he needs his head examined.
Oh, wasn't he the guy that predicted the Seahawks to go 5-11, or was it worse than 5-11?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Hey, we're ranked there right with the Patriots, so
yeah. Well, that must mean we're in the right spot then.
Why not?
Because I'm pretty sure the Patriots are going to be okay.
The thing is about power rankings. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they just held off on power rankings till, I don't know, week 5.
Yeah, that's exactly the week that I was going to say. That feels about right.
Because you don't know anything. I mean, yeah, the Bills look like the worst team in the league through the first 2 weeks. And then they go and they beat the pants off the Vikings in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And that stuff happens.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. I mean, every now and then, random things pop up, obviously, because that's why I did poorly in the picks on week 3. I don't know. Those are some bad power rankings.
That's pretty bad. My do better this week is for flopping quarterbacks. I mean, it's hard enough for officials right now, because not only do they have to make sure that a quarterback doesn't get hit below the knees, make sure the quarterback doesn't get hit above the shoulders, he can't get hit too hard. But now they have to try and decipher what percentage of a defender's body weight he's using when he lands on top of the quarterback. So officials already have all of this to consider. And yet you have Ben Roethlisberger, you have Dak Prescott going down with just barely getting grazed. And Ben Roethlisberger may have been the biggest culprit on Monday night. And he even admits that to an extent, although I don't know if it's enough. He says, I got hit in the helmet.
He's a quarterback.
I got hit in the helmet, which is a call, and people are saying that I flopped. That was Pierre-Paul, and he got that cast on his hand. And that hand that he's got the cast on is one that hit my helmet. So it rung me a little bit, I might have went to the ground a little bit to sell it, but it definitely got me. So I think that's a good call. That's exactly why people are saying that you flopped, Ben, because you went to the ground a little bit trying to sell it. Don't tell us.
That's the definition of it?
That's the definition of flopping. So don't try and explain it away and then exactly explain what the exact definition of a flop is, Ben. Do better.
Yeah, that game was tough to watch, the Steelers Tampa game, because and I'm not mad at the officials themselves, right? Mm-hmm. About these roughing the passer calls, because like you said, they're put in a bit of an impossible situation. They're not the one who wrote the rule.
Correct.
But just listening to the head official and in the way he would say it, personal foul, roughing the passer, 15 yards, yet again.
Here we go again.
Roughing the passer. And you could tell he's frustrated by it.
Sure.
Look, this body weight thing, you have to be able to tackle a quarterback. There's a difference between landing on a quarterback and driving him into the ground.
Correct.
I mean, I understand Aaron Rodgers got hurt this way last year, and the league can't have Precious Aaron getting hurt. But
hey, I understand this completely from a league perspective, from the NFL perspective, because if you have quarterbacks go down, are you going to want to tune in to watch Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson? Yeah, of course you are. Are you going to want to tune in when it's
Russell Wilson, Deshaun Kaiser?
Or when it's Deshaun Kaiser and Brett Hundley? Right. Yeah, you're not watching that game. You're a Seahawks fan and you might not watch that game.
No, I'm still watching that game. I mean, look, I get it and everything, but let's also look at it in a long-term view. If you make the game as soft as this, with now you have NBA flopping starting to permeate out of the quarterbacks,
right.
you're going to lose viewers long term too. It doesn't matter that Aaron Rodgers is on the field, because if he can't get touched, it doesn't even feel like football anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to lose viewers that way too. So either, which way do you want to do it? Do you want to lose viewers for 4 or 5 weeks while a guy's injured? Or do you want to lose viewers forever because you've changed the game into something that's unwatchable? And that's what the league is being short-sighted here.
Sure.
But look, I've solved this. Like, look, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, my game plan next week, and this works out great with our crappy offensive line, that I've got a new game plan. And we can take advantage of our biggest weakness. All we got to do is let Russell Wilson take a sack every single play, and 2 out of every 3 of those plays is going to be a roughing the passer call. It would be unstoppable. We'd march up and down the field, 15-yard chunk plays at a time.
Right.
All Russ has to do, just pad him up in like every pad imaginable, or crap, don't even put Russell on the field. Trot out Hundley to just take the hit every time. And it would be unstoppable. Just get a roughing the passer call every time.
Well, what you do is, because now essentially you've made it to where you can't bring the quarterback down from the front. You have to come up from behind him. So you just or the side. So you put all of the offensive linemen to the side and to the back, and that's where you do the blocking.
Right.
Because if they come from the front, if they try an arm tackle, you just slip out one direction or the other. And if they hit you face on, it's going to be a penalty.
So as a defender, do you still get the 2 steps before you to hit the quarterback after they release the ball? Or is that just gone now?
It kind of feels like it's gone, but I thought
that was the rule. You were allowed 2 steps.
And that's what Ed Hockley was trying to explain in how exactly you're supposed to sack a quarterback now. And that is at that 2-step.
What? Ask for their willing consent and permission, and like have a waiver signed, roll out a mattress, and like just lie them gently on the ground.
Did you see that going around, that Twitter post?
Yeah. Because I think I said something like this on the pick show, and then I saw that go around, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to say.
Brings the pillow out and puts it gently under her head and kisses her on the forehead.
Right. Yeah. Good night, sweet darling. Yeah.
And then does the sack dance. That was fun.
So Ed Hockley's trying to explain this.
Right. He's trying to explain that at that 2-step is when you have to make your adjustment as a defender to tackle from the side with your arms. And I just don't see how that's realistic with guys like Ben Roethlisberger and Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, who can wiggle out of those types of arm tackles.
Right. Okay. So let's say they called it that way, where if you take 2 full steps, now you're expected when you get to the quarterback to shift your weight and not land on him. If it was called that way, we'd see about a quarter of these calls. But what we're seeing right now is like the McCoy call in the Tampa-Pittsburgh game. Mm-hmm. He takes 1 step, hits Ben square in the chest, is saying I'm sorry as he does it. Yeah, and hits him square in the chest and then gets called. Like, he doesn't even get the 1 step.
Yeah, and was that because it was a weight issue thing?
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's making the game practically unwatchable.
There's too many penalties. And it's slowing it down.
If I'm Clay Matthews, man, like I would be losing my freaking mind.
He is losing his mind, and because he's had what was the stat that he's had 4 roughing the passer calls in his entire career,
right? And
now he's had 3 in the first 3 games,
consecutive games, that were clean shots.
Yeah, and he's confused of not knowing what to do. So the NFL's not doing a very good job of, one, with the rule change, explaining what defenders are even supposed to do.
It's explained, but it's impossible.
Right.
It's literally impossible. Well, I mean, and still hit the quarterback. Like, maybe, I mean, if you're a defender at this point, like, you run up to the quarterback, and instead of sacking him, you just run up and just put your hands up straight up in the air to hope to bat the pass down whenever it is that he throws it, and just like guard him like an NBA player at that point.
Well, make sure your hand doesn't hit his helmet, though.
Oh, great! Yeah, graze it. Good Lord.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. It does sound like the competition committee is getting together here in the next week or so, but we will be Probably.
Oh, well, take your time, fellas.
Yeah. We get one more Sunday.
This isn't a crisis. Yeah.
We get one more Sunday with it as is. So I think the NFL is recognizing there's an issue here, fortunately. But holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to still be football.
The one thing you can say, though, is that Seattle has done pretty well to not get any of these penalties, really. I mean, there was the Jefferson penalty, but as we pointed out, that was a Dak Prescott flop where he got touched and just went down as though Jefferson actually hit him.
Yep. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm really rooting for him to change it.
On to better at life.
All right, man. My better at life than Skip Bayless this week is for the Opportunity rover sitting on Mars. She may have sent her last information back to her.
Oh, sad.
For about 107 days now, she'd been covered up by a massive dust storm on Mars. At one point, circled the entire globe, blotting out the sunlight. And the Opportunity rover is solar powered. And NASA has been, patiently waiting for the storm to clear, for sunlight to hit the panels, and to see if they can revive the Opportunity rover. It's been a few days here that they've gotten quite a bit of sunlight to actually hit the rover. They think they have an image of it from space, from the Mars orbiter. Despite all their best efforts, she may be dead. And Opportunity was an amazing little piece of equipment. And when you talk about people saying, well, NASA wastes a bunch of money and none of their stuff ever worked, BS. This thing lasted 60 times longer than it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Than it was engineered to do. That's pretty freaking amazing. So for the little rover that could, Opportunity, fare thee well. Thank you for your service. And you are better at life than Skip Bayless.
She had a good run.
I mean, not all hope's lost, but it's probably not good.
Well, speaking of things and or people that we would have liked to see more time spent doing the job that they did so well, Cam Chancellor, my better at life this week, our 12th man flag raiser. And he got the crowd going at the start of the game. I think it fired up a lot of people. It fired up Pete Carroll, who said that he got emotional seeing Cam up there raising the 12th man flag. It's a cool moment for Cam Chancellor. It's a cool moment for any former player to be up there, but for having him be the one to kind of kick off the season at home up there on the platform and raising the flag, he gets my better at life than Skip Bayless for this week.
And well earned, too. That was bittersweet, was it not?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a cool moment, but it is tough when it's a guy who you think, oh, man, he had so much more time. But he did reveal to the Seattle Times that he has spinal stenosis, I think is what the condition is called, and saying that whenever he gets knocked in the head, he kind of loses all feeling.
Maybe retire then.
Yeah.
I think he made the right choice.
He probably made the only choice, right?
You would think that would be the only choice. Yeah. So, good to see Bam Bam. Good to see the crowd give him the ovation that he deserved. And, clearly that helped get the team fired up for their first win of the season at home, as it should be. And I'm looking forward to the second win of the season when we beat the tar out of the stupid Cardinals.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.